Hi everyone! Welcome to episode 24, and hi to anyone who's watching the replay. If you're watching this, you probably have some anger. Let me move this a little bit. Actually, I'll just hold it. You probably have been experiencing some anger, or you would like to know how to process anger in a healthy way. And as a self-love coach and someone who is on the journey of self-love, I have definitely recognized that I have anger within myself as well. And there's never been how would I say it? Enough opportunities or experiences where I was able to learn how to express anger in a healthy way. It was always with projecting it out to somebody. Like when I'm angry, I will talk at the person, yell at them, and be all angry, and that would be my release. And that necessarily didn't help me grow to become a better person. So what I'm going to do on this episode is that I am going to share with you how anger has been showing up for me lately, or through the times leading up to this very point where it's very loud. I'm recognizing it, and recommendations from my therapist in case if it resonates with any of you. And I'm going to read to you a journal entry that I wrote just a couple days ago when I was woken up from a nightmare about my anger, and I eventually journaled. So I actually woke up sobbing my heart, eyes, and soul out. And I let my sob release the anger. So I don't know if I've had like angry tears before, but this was like, I know I probably had it before, but it's been a long time. So I released my anger through the sob of my tears, and eventually expressing it through a journal entry on my phone. And it was like at 6:33 a.m. So before I do that, I'm going to share with you how anger has been showing up for me. It is in regards to leading to the day of finding my brother grasping for air, turning blue, and calling 911. I'm very vulnerable in this group. This is the only place and on my newsletter that I will share the truth of what's going on. Outside in the public, I am choosing not to share about my brother's overdose in respects to my family, because y'all know how it is. Well, right now, my family, my parents especially, basically, is not comfortable with letting their siblings know about the overdose. Perhaps they are afraid of judgment of what they will say if they find out that my brother, was struggling with addiction. So my anger has to do with events that led up to my brother overdosing for the second time. And situations where I wish I would have done something different. You replay these moments and you get so angry of why I didn't choose to do certain things differently with my brother, and also angry at myself for my past of not being there for my brother or my siblings during the most important years of their life. And of course, I have self-compassion. I know that I did the best that I could. And also, though, not neglecting and not just being real and raw and admit that I have anger towards myself about not being there. Angry that this is the life that I'm living, where that's my pain. That's my regrets. That's my angry places about how, I was in codependency relationships and just completely in my own world. So I missed out caring and looking out for my siblings. I'm the youngest sibling. So my anger is related to that. And then leading up to last year, where my brother had a rock bottom moment and he went into rehab, and we're all learning about addiction and just how my experiences with my family, I felt like we weren't on the same page in certain areas that perhaps could have prevented my brother overdosing for the second time. And the day of, there's anger around the day of, because I was the one who drove to go see him, with his friend calling me to go see him because my brother was having a hard time breathing. There's anger with my decision making of the day of, because I was like people pleasing his friend His friend was begging me not to act a certain way or do certain things so that he wouldn't get in trouble when, hello, my brother's life is at stake. So it's all going to show up in my journal that I'm about to share with you that I expressed the other night. So that's the anger that's been showing up for me. And here are some recommendations from my therapist on how to release anger in healthy ways. So she recommended screaming into a pillow, punching the pillow, throwing the pillows around. And if I'm at a beach, because my mom has been asking me to go to the beach to release and scream, going to the beach, if it's at the beach, then throwing rocks. And to take it even further, labeling the rocks with what you're angry about, and then being able to throw it out into the ocean or into the river or into the water. And there was also the going to the smash rooms, where they let you have a room and you get to smash everything that's in this room. That was another recommendation. And or screaming in the car, screaming in the house when you have the house to yourself. So those are all recommendations from my therapist. And what resonated more with me was throwing rocks into the ocean. Perhaps screaming my house. I haven't done that yet, but I just feel like I need to throw something at the ocean, at the river, because there's nature there, and that will help me like open the door to releasing my anger vocally. Because I was in a healing program before, and they had us scream and yell in a room along with everybody else. If anyone knows of any event like that in Sacramento or near Sacramento, let me know, because I really need that. Because I experienced it, I just keep on imagining myself doing it. So if anyone knows that kind of event, let me know. So with that said, grab what resonates with you, and I am going to read to you now my journal entry that I wrote just a couple of nights ago. Well, actually early morning. Okay, here goes. I'm going to read it. Let me bring my laptop closer over here. Okay. Woken up by a nightmare. It is 6:33 a.m. Just went to the bathroom and came back to bed. Feeling a headache now from crying so much. Tears of anger, rage, and an overbearing amount of guilt. My dream was with the family and Tybin. He was in his current vegetative state, and we were helping him sit up, improve, and drastically he did, to the point where he was able to stand up and even ride a horse. And he was so determined to getting up on his own and to ride this horse. And what started happening was the family seemed to have gotten nonchalant about keeping a close eye on him when he was on the horse. I felt panic, worried, confused, and because everyone seemed trusting and nonchalant about him riding off on the horse by himself, as he was riding the horse through our house, I just kept on staying with the family until it seemed like it was a while that he was in the house. So I ran quickly into the house, and there he was, off of the horse. It looked like he fell off of the horse. This is what I was afraid of. His bottom right leg, graphic warning, his bottom right leg had been torn off, and I turned around and ran to my sisters and shouted at them to call 911. They were walking towards me, joking with each other and not paying attention to me, trying to scream out, "Call 911." But the words wouldn't come out of my mouth. My voice was restricted, blocked, and I kept trying to scream it at them. And finally, I was able to shout out 9. So much that I heard my own shout in bed, which woke me up. I was so disturbed by my dream. I just wanted to feel relief that it was just a dream, that it wasn't my reality. But I knew I couldn't just go back to sleep. The emotions that had been triggered quickly matched up with the anger that's been brewing inside of me. There is so much anger that I feel from my experiences witnessing Tybin regressing from rehab. From vocalizing the panic I felt from within that a relapse was about to happen. I felt that no one listened to me. I felt that no one didn't understand the seriousness of it. I felt that no one saw, felt, and was aware like how I was. Everything that I saw was correct. Not only did he need help, but we did too. We had no clue of what to do. We did the best we could with what we learned of what could be helpful, like weekly family meetings. I remember voicing to my mom that we needed a professional to help us navigate through this. She didn't agree. Sigh. And then there's the day of. There's the big triggers of PTSD, depression, stress, and overwhelm that he, my brother, was experiencing immensely within a month. And yet we were allowing some of his friends to come by the house again, leading to this person being in his life just a few days before. I kept on, which this person is the person who's been with my brother and given him drugs, and leading up to the day of this is the friend that called me to go see my brother. I keep on asking myself, why, in caps lock, why did it need to happen like this? Why didn't I, or couldn't I listen to my gut that day? Why on earth did I let my decision making be swayed by blank, that person? Pila, my partner, was the only person who told me that I need to call 911, that Tybin needed to go to the hospital. Why didn't I just do that? Why did my people pleaser turn on that day? I was people pleasing a lot by his friend that was basically not wanting me to he didn't want to take him to the hospital because he was afraid of getting in trouble. He didn't want me to call my parents because he didn't want to get in trouble. He didn't want to be seen with my brother. He wanted me to take my brother out of his car and put him in my car. Anyways, so just to give you some background. Why did my people pleaser turn on that day? I feel that I failed him big time. I failed him so bad. Towards the end, I recalled when I was sobbing at him. So this was a different period where I was having a rock bottom moment and I felt like I disappointed the family, and I was at home sobbing. I recall when I was sobbing at him, my brother, feeling like I failed everyone, that I disappointed everyone, and Tybin came over to me and comforted me by gently patting my head and said, "We're not mad at you." Then he says my name in Vietnamese. His compassionate, precious, gentle voice. He never, ever yelled or gave the family attitude. And yet in his external world was filled with rage, anger, violence, and chaos. This is too painful to bear. The amount of guilt and anger I have towards me, towards the situation, and how I felt that the family didn't listen to me. ... It's overwhelming. And I can get just a gist here of why people want to set themselves free from it. So much wise anger, rage, frustration, and out of controlness. My heart feels a little calmer now as I got to express it through my cries and made it onto here, aka the journal. Please God, angel guides, Buddha, help him. Please help all of us heal and feel self-forgiveness. Please help us heal to peace. And I put emojis. I was digitally doing my journaling. So that was my journal entry. And I will tell you how that type of release, how my day was later on that day and then the day after, because I'm sure some of you or a lot of you have had those big sobbing cries that feels like forever. So the next day or later on, your eyes feel really puffy. You know, our tears are very salty, and it's like a emotional hangover. So even though I felt emotional exhaustion, I felt release as well. Like I woke up feeling lighter. My heart was lighter, and my mind actually had some mental clarity, even though I was tired, even though I had a 9 a.m. Coaching call and another evening coaching call. There was mental clarity that I saw. I was able to, extra mental clarity that I was able to have on my client calls. So that was later on that day from that dream. And then the day after, I felt so good. I felt so much lighter. And, me and my friend Hallie, we host meditation. So as I was meditating, I felt, how would I say it? I felt like I was able to really process and comfort myself through this meditation. And essentially from that meditation, I'm learning how to accept loss and death. And my beliefs on a spiritual note is even coming on clear, which gives me peace and grounding when it comes to losing someone that you love. So it's basically that, beneath the skin, beneath this physical body that we have is our soul. It's our spirit. It's our energy. And when we pass on, we're continuing to live on, because even though we may no longer be in our bodies, our spirit, energies, and soul gets to actually carry on everything that we've experienced in this life onto the next. So in that meditation, I was even kind of imagining myself being excited to live, because if I'm already learning so much and healing so much in this life, oh my goodness, this energy, my soul's mission, my soul's purpose, my soul journey is going to have such an alignment life in the next one. Perhaps my soul doesn't need to relearn some of the lessons that I'm learning in this life. And I really believe that the people that we have met or that are in our lives, or even the families that we're born into, we get to meet their souls again, because obviously their souls carried on over to this life from the previous life. So, I will get to be with my brother's energy and spirit and soul again. And maybe the roles would be different. Maybe I end up being a mentor in his next life. Maybe I end up being his teacher. Maybe I end up being his brother. Maybe I end up being a really good friend to him. That's like a guiding light in his life. And this goes for my brother as well. So that message, so it's like the day after, I was healing from the emotional exhaustion from crying so much. And the day after, it's like this weight has been lifted. And, in the meditation, Hallie was prompting us to feel a recent emotion that we've been feeling. So of course for me, it was anger. And I couldn't bring it up because a lot of it had released so much. So there is, releasing our anger is going to look differently to everyone. I listed some suggestions from my therapist, and I just shared with you how I experienced anger. And what's so funny is that I had that dream the day that I had my therapy session, and I was talking about how I really need to plan a date to do this anger release thing. It's like I need to have a whole session about it, which I'm still going to do. So we'll see if things change, but I know it's a little nerve-wracking planning to release anger, because it's something that's very unfamiliar, and we're afraid of not having control over our anger. For me in particular, I have experienced so much different types of release, emotional release, some anger release in the past, not as intense as this one, or maybe in a different way pertaining to different situations. But so I don't feel as nervous. I know I can do it because I've had some experiences releasing intense emotions. But I know that I need to have a plan and really dedicated to it. So my plan right now that's come through is to go to a river ocean place that a friend recommended. Hike there is like an hour. I mean, not an hour, a mile, and throw rocks. And then from that, I believe that it will open up for me to scream if I need to, or release that emotion vocally, and then have a journaling session. So yes, are you aware that you have anger inside of your body? Are there experiences in the past where you feel angry because you didn't have any control over a certain situation, or you have so much anger towards yourself because you wish you could have done things differently? Well, I am right there with you. And, for the time being, before we really plan to have this big anger release, I highly recommend body movement. There's been times that I can recall now where I released it through movement. When I was jogging, when this all happened, I was able to release a lot. There was something therapeutic about being able to jog forward and like feel all my anger. And at the same time, I'm feeling the mental clarity as I'm doing it. My body's getting stronger. And also spiritually, it's like clearing things up for me. And I was able to gain this whole positive perspective as I was jogging. It was a whole win-win. So I highly recommend physical movement. If any of the suggestions from my therapist that I mentioned earlier speaks to you, there's that. And there's also allowing yourself to let yourself really cry it out. I mean, I was making noises, because of my anger, and then eventually continuing to express. I remember expressing anger towards my ex through video vlogging, and I have private videos of that. So you see, there's ways to release angers in these chunks. And that night, I feel like that was definitely a chunk. And I know that I will most likely will have another chunk to release because years of regrets and anger that I have from the past, I know that's still in me somewhere. And until we show up to the practice, we will actually see how much is there still and how much of it has been healed. So with that said, if you look above, I left a link also of like my pain processing formula. So if you haven't watched that or you feel like you need to watch it again, it is right above there for the link. And it also has journal prompts that allows you to work through the pain processing formula with those journal prompts. And it's actually, you can work on it PDF digitally, or you can print it out like your own journal. You can make as many copies as you can. So with that said, yeah, and of course, if you need more one-on-one support, I offer that as well. Okay, see, Peter, I see that you're on here, and anyone who's watching the replay, hi. Thank you for tuning in. I will be here next week on Sunday for 5 o'clock, Self-Love Live at 5, to discuss recent processing and always leaving you tips and suggestions on what you can do for your self-love practice to heal and release your pains in healthy ways and ultimately becoming your own best friend. Okay, that is the episode for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my vulnerable share. Let me know if you have any questions, anything else at all. Okay. And, yeah, I will talk to you later. Okay. Bye. Thanks for tuning in, Peter. I see you.